my truck and my trailer out of there. Politely, of course, because the fellow I dealt with, he was a good guy. The guy who helped me debadge the truck and who uninstalled the ELD. Can't say anything bad about him. He knew his job, did his job. Whenever I talked to him the couple times I passed through that location, he was always, he dealt fair with me and square, so it's hard to dislike anyone on those grounds. If they deal right with you, you like them. It's just the way it is. This is how I am. Anyway, so I'm a free agent and on course at long last to finally execute my establishment and my launch as an independent motor carrier, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I've got a few more details to sort out over the end of this week and over the weekend, but next week, probably Tuesday, Wednesday time frame, I will be launching into the great unknown as a motor carrier unto myself. And that's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great adventure. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the lessons I've learned that got me to this point and brought me to where I am right now, especially when it comes to dealing with other carriers and signing on with them and driving for them and all that things that I learned. Now, a lot of you veteran owner operators out there, if you watch this video, probably if you get all the way through without, laughing at my misfortunes or mistakes or my decision-making process, hey, you've been through it probably to a greater degree than I ever have or ever will be. So you probably learned all these lessons a long time ago. Like, yep, now you're learning it, grasshopper. But it is what it is. Anyway, so if you followed me for a while, you know I drove for Werner. Company guy, that was my first trucking job, was Werner Enterprises. I was there for 14 months as a company driver, and then I bought my truck, the one I'm in right now. Became an owner-operator with them. Lasted a little over 4 months. Actually, just right around 4 months, as a matter of fact. And then I jumped ship from them over to GP Transco because I realized that being paid by the mile rather than by the load was not the way to do business as an owner-operator. So at least that was true at the time in the spring of 2021. Nowadays might be a different story. I might, if I had to do over knowing then what I know now, I might have stayed with Werner for a while longer, but who knows? It is what it is. Anyway, and I was with GP Transco for about 15 months. I think it was another 14 months actually, because it was from end of April 21 to end of June 22. So yeah, 14 months I was with them. Then I jumped ship from them over to the folks I just left. Now, I had a good experience with GP Transco overall. Yeah, I didn't much care for my dispatch situation. But overall, the company itself was a really good company. I had a good experience. I could always pick up the phone and reach out to them and get some questions answered, get things sorted out. It was rarely a struggle to get things dealt with at GP Transco. They were a very well-organized company, and if you've seen Smart Trucking endorse them, the endorsement is not just him being paid to speak well of that company. I am not being paid to speak well of that company, and I still think of that company in a very positive light, and I've been gone from them for over a year. Actually, just about a year, as a matter of fact. No, not quite a year, I'm sorry. Not quite a year. I still think of them positively because I did learn a lot while I was with them, and I had a good experience overall while I was there. The company I'm with now, I just left. I've been saying I would do a review on them when I left them so that I could speak of them freely without risk of reprisal, and also to ensure that I was not tied to them in any capacity so that I could, just for safety's sake, not really safety, but just for the sake of neatness, I would say is probably the better term, sake of neatness, just not having any sort of tie to them. However, with what I've learned about that company in the last couple of days, I do not think it would be wise of me or proper of me to mention who they were, because they're going through some issues, some organizational issues, some structural issues that have illuminated to me that it was very good for me to leave the company strike out on my own at long last, but also because there is a really good potential for them to come out of the back end of their current issues a much stronger, much better, much more capable organization than they are currently. I do not feel it would be good of me to speak of them in a negative light, especially for those folks who are looking to YouTube for video reviews of carriers before they sign on with them. Because to summarize, they don't communicate very well at all. I mean, I was on a merry-go-round with dispatchers. I had 3 dispatch changes in the span of 2 months, and it was not a good situation. There was no communication beforehand. It was just things would happen. I would get a message saying, hey, I'm your new dispatcher, and I would have no idea that this was coming. It just would happen. And for an owner-operator looking to book their own freight, that is not a good situation to be in. It was always hard to get a hold of the accounting people. If I had questions about settlements, it was always hard to get a hold of the fleet maintenance folks. We needed help trying to get to a particular shop location or to, figure something out. If I had to go in for an inspection, it was always hard to get a hold of them. And the safety department might as well not exist in any capacity at all. Because the safety guy I talked to when I onboarded with this carrier, he apparently got fired or he quit a few months after I came on. So he was gone. He was gone actually, I think last September 2022. He was a nice guy. I liked him. We had a lot of good conversations. I was able to call him, pick up the phone, talk to him, present issues, ask questions, and get responses. It was very good. He was a good guy. But then he was gone. And I was like, okay, that's a bit of a concern. The next guy who came on was like, yeah, we're going to rewrite the safety book. We're going to get a new manual out to everybody. It's going to have all this information in it. You're going to have a complete list of contacts that you can reach out to and get stuff sorted out. Okay, great. That never happened. And then I find out later that he was gone probably before the end of the year 2022. So, safety department at this company, a problem. Very much a problem because apparently they were trying to get that division to do more than they should have been, because when you're dealing with safety and trucking, if you're a carrier that has enough trucks, you need to have a separate safety department to make sure you're managing your trucks properly when it comes to your safety and compliance. And you can't retain employees in those positions, or you're asking them to do more than deal with the safety and compliance of the trucks, trailers, and drivers. That's a problem. And I had no idea that was going on. So finding out that they're basically not even in existence at the end of my tenure, huge red flag among many. They were also in the process of closing one of their facilities, the one that happened to be closest to me, the one that I ran through this afternoon to get the truck debadged. Found out they were closing the facility in order to, reduce costs and consolidate their maintenance and terminal efforts at another location in another state entirely. Which, okay, great, that's all well and good, but where was the communication? When were they going to tell me that this potential resource for maintenance was going to be closed to me? Like, that's a huge, huge problem, because when I was with Werner, they announced very, very early on that they were going to be closing terminals and changing them from full service terminals to essentially drop yards, which that's all well and good, but it's a problem for those locations that were going to lose those services. Like, for example, they were closing the terminal in Indianapolis because they had the one in Joliet open that I based out of. They also had the one in Springfield, Ohio. They also had a smaller terminal in Brownstown, Michigan. Now, as far as I'm aware, all 3 of those facilities are still open and operational and are still fully functional Werner terminals. I've been to all 3 when I was with Werner. They're good facilities. There's good people who work there, no problem at all with those facilities. But Werner, when they said we're going to close these facilities and we're going to be routing resources to these other facilities, so if you need things that are not, just dropping trailers, picking up trailers, or whatever else, or to park your truck when you're going on home time, you need to be going to these other facilities. And they gave plenty of notice out to ensure that the employees of those facilities could either seek other jobs or prepare to transfer to other locations and address their living situation, whatever they needed to do. So they tried to at least be respectful of their employees and their resources and their drivers to make sure that there was was smooth transitions. Not so much with these folks I just left. They gave their terminal staff 30 days notice they were shutting the facility down. And, you know, that's not how you do things unless you're going out of business. Like, you don't do things that short notice unless you're in serious trouble. So I said earlier that it's possible these guys can come out of the back end improved, and yeah, I believe it is possible. But at the same time, everything about how they do business, they're not a healthy company, which is also why I'm not speaking their name, because they may end up healthy or they could go under, and I have no idea which way it's going to be. All I know is that I made the move to get out of them because I knew it was going to be better for me to do so in light of the ABC test potentially going national in just a couple of weeks here. And also just because I had spent all this time and all this money to establish my own operating authority, there's no reason not to execute it. My authority is active. I'm in with several brokers, and next week I'll be going live with my first loads as an independent motor carrier, and I'm looking forward to it. So there's no reason for me to stay with a carrier when I'm about to become my own carrier and do my own thing. So it's one of those things where it's like, all right, well, time to move on. And that was the excuse I used with them. It wasn't at all the red flags about how they're organized in terms of who's doing what, who's responsible for what, who do I talk to about this issue, who do I talk to about that issue. I left all of those things out when I told them I was leaving the company, because I did not want to leave the management with a sour taste about who I was for them, especially if other people, you know, reach out to them and said, hey, you know, how was this owner operator for you? Like, what did he do for you? Like, we're looking to have him as a contractor for us. You know, what was he like? You know, I want people to remember me at different companies positively, and you don't do that by speaking ill of someone or something or some entity in a way where they cannot defend themselves. And that's kind of what YouTube is. It's an open forum to sling hash and spill the tea, and people just they just can't defend it. And I'm not about to be that way. I'm going to try to be as professional and respectful as possible to all the entities that I decide to speak about, because one person's very poor experience with one business or one broker or one carrier may not necessarily reflect the experience of somebody else, or mirror it, for example. They'll have completely different experiences. Like, I had a really good experience at Werner as a company driver. I had very good dispatch, I had very good management, and the people I worked with, I liked them. They were good people. So I look back on my time at Werner as a company driver and an owner-operator very positively, because I worked with very good people. So it's very difficult for me to speak ill of Werner Enterprises, because again, I had a very positive experience with them, and as a first trucking job, I'm not sure I could have done better, because my experience with them was just that good. I learned a lot, and I had, you know, I was in a good situation when I joined them. When I moved on from them, you know, I made it a point to be professional with them as in every capacity as well, and make sure that their needs were taken care of as well as mine, so that, you know, that with anything were to be said about me from them, they'd say, okay, well, he turned in his trucks in good condition, in working order, ready for sale in the case of my first one, or reassignment in the case of the second one. He called in lots of issues and got a lot of tires fixed that people had missed. You know, did not refuse loads. You know, didn't complain. Did his job. You know, communicated all this. Like, these are things you want to have follow you. You want to have a positive reputation follow you, and you can't have that even if you speak ill of even a bad company, and they come back and say, well, this guy did X, Y, and Z. He did that. He did this. He did that. He did this. He did that. And then it's like, okay, who do you believe? At that point, it becomes a he said, she said situation, and nobody wins in those, because the truth is somewhere that you may not even be able to find it, as it were. So that's why I don't want to speak ill of this company, because I don't want to have it come back and bite me, or cause them to lose out on possible customers or even applicants for company drivers or owner operators, because overall, despite the fact that a lot of things that a lot of things with this company did not go the way I would have preferred them to have gone, overall my experience with them was largely positive. I learned a lot, and I accomplished my goals that I had set out for myself when I joined them. When I joined them, my goals were to learn how to communicate with brokers, learn the spot market, learn how to negotiate for rates, learn how to operate in the 48 states, doing dry van freight, learn, what it takes to manage a truck and trailer, and just, learn the business side of everything, so that when I did make the choice to do what I'm doing now, which is to become my own motor carrier, I'm coming into this with experience. I know what I need to do, I know how to operate, and I know or need to look out for and watch out for as I'm getting myself started. And I don't think I could have done that. I don't think I'd be in the position I am in right now had I not joined this carrier and gone through the issues I went through in terms of mechanical problems and hierarchical problems in terms of not being able to communicate with the folks or things of that nature, because those have all been very important lessons for me in how to approach my business. So I believe I am in a much better situation starting out than a lot of other owner-operators, because I do have these reference points for how to do things and also how not to do things. I believe that will set me in good stead moving forward. So that's where I'm at, and that's why I'm trying to be professional. I've just rabbit trailed on that pretty hardcore. But it's important to be professional in this day and age, because that sort of civility, that professional decorum is being very much lost, forgotten, and set by the wayside, because people are they're not proceeding along the traditional lines of business, and in a lot of ways they're just not caring about how they do things. They're not being as careful with their work, and it is showing through in a lot of ways. And I believe that there's going to need to be some changes that are happening, or that will happen, that will need to address that, because it's special out there. Anyway, that's all for now, YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. Hope